Well, hello. Welcome to thoughtraid. Today we're getting naked. Well, specifically, Brandon's going to get naked, and I get to dissect him.
Oh, great.
He's having some struggles and just difficulties figuring out how to get through this season of life. But hang out. Talk with us. Well, welcome to thoughtraid, where we take thoughts and find better ways of thinking about them. I'm Tim. This is Brandon Brown. I was going to make some kind of last name joke, but
Just
couldn't figure it out.
I'm Brandon Brown.
But today is Monday, and in normal fashion, every Monday we talk about stuff going on in our lives. How are we struggling? How are we succeeding? What's happening? What's going on?
Yeah.
I'm having a great week.
Oh, I'm glad you are. That's great.
It's actually kind of cool. A couple friends are getting married this week, and our friends John and Tasha finally got a house, which is so cool. So we're helping them move on Wednesday. So looking forward to coming to help you guys. I don't know, like business is doing well. I've been hanging out. I feel really healthy, especially with my friendships. It's like my life is great, but Brandon's is not so great.
Also, hello there, Seth.
What's up, Seth? But yeah, Brandon, what'd you title today's thing? Brandon talk about his struggle. Brandon talk about his struggle with making progress in life. I think that's something that we can all relate to. It's like, at least in my life, man, it's like I'm always struggling with making progress in some form or fashion.
Yeah, I think it's just interesting that at the beginning of thoughtraid, we were in different seasons. You were the one doing the struggling, and I was the one who was doing fine. I mean, to a degree, it wasn't like I was doing great. It was just like things were, like I made it through the pandemic, that went through, and then I got thoughtraid started and I had all this direction and inspiration of ways and things to do and whatever, and then it's just like, well, now how the tables have turned. Mm-hmm. Let's see.
Thank God, though, man.
Brandon do a talk. Brandon have a struggle. Yes, I do.
He, she, we. Brandon.
I'm gonna get my pronouns right.
Oh. Please don't call him him. He is a they or a she.
Wow.
I don't understand all that stuff.
No, I am not. For those who don't know who I am, no.
Yeah, but it is kind of interesting because this time last year I was kind of in that place because I just started Break the Meta. Mm-hmm. You got an eyelash right here too.
Oh, let me fix that.
Other side.
Oh, the other side. Okay.
Yeah, thanks. Because it was bothering me specifically.
I'm so sorry.
But I just started Break the Meta and I had never done anything like that before. Mm-hmm. And I was falling apart like, am I a good husband? Am I a good person? Do I actually have something to give people? Like, can I make a living out of doing this? Am I being lame? Am I just like taking advantage of my life?
Am I being lame?
And then actually this was like the height of COVID too. So trying to figure out the young adults group stuff and
at the height of COVID, you had a lot going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the multiverses of Brandon's. Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh, I can barely handle one.
Well, what if you exist in every one of them? There'd be multiple you to deal with multiple me.
It's an interesting concept.
I know.
But
sending us through a loop today, Seth.
But this time last year, what was life like for you? Because apparently it was the opposite of what it is now.
Well, yeah. I mean, last year, this time, it wasn't easy for me, granted, but unemployment came in, so I wasn't worrying about more money was going to come from at the time.
When unemployment first started happening, did you do it right then? Did you, when it was first made available to everybody?
Not immediately, but relatively fast after it became available, and I didn't have to go through this whole process of looking for work or anything. So that was very helpful, and so I had that coming in, which allowed me to just completely focus on thoughtraid without a single financial care in the world, and I was very happy for that. So that finances were not an issue for me in June, and even social things were not so much of an issue because you had just begun doing that again with the small group, and I had Eric continuously in my life. And, then
And by that he means bonfires.
Yes, we were doing
fire pit out back.
We had there was a whole social gathering around let's gather round the campfire and sing our campfire song. Anyways, I
was like, where is he going? Oh,
yes,
this SpongeBob.
Yes, so I had that going on, and then also like I don't know, remember it was June or it was July, probably July. Like shortly after this point, I made the most generous offer I'd ever done in my life, and so there was a high from doing that of just like, wow, I've really come far in this. So there's just a lot going on. Like we were talking about Saturday, at the time, in the Enneagram thing, I was like at level 1 of like how well you're doing. Like everything was altruistic for me. I was just grateful for people in my life. I was doing good. And so that was great and all until, November, December, and then we had a little bit of, I was able to get a little bit more unemployment, and then we hit March and then back down again. And now, we're not doing so great, and I'm trying to find work. So that's put a lot of, it's amazing how much stress not having a lot of money puts on you.
Well, I mean, people are always saying that money can't buy you happiness, and I mean, I'm a Christian and I follow the Jesus, and I'm fairly certain money can buy you happiness, And, I mean, it's all perspective, though. I think it's like, if you're a bad person and you have money, it's not going to make you happy. But if you're a good person and, you appreciate it for what it is, it can easily buy you happy. Maybe it's just subjective.
Well, at the very least, it's security, which prevents you from the concern of what's going to happen next, per se. Like, I'm not worrying about my life when I'm able to easily cover my bills, and is it hot? Super hot. Oh, so sorry.
That's the third time I've tried. You think I'd learn?
I'm so sorry. One day you'll learn. But anyways, having that, I don't have, that's a big weight that was off my shoulders that is currently squarely on my shoulders. And I've come to a place where I do feel like God has invited me and allowed me to look for work, whether it's because he knows that I can't keep going any further in trusting him, or he truly is allowing me to do this. I'm not entirely sure. But, now I'm starting to look for other work, and I feel very confident that I can find work, but the places that I've applied so far have not returned anything to me. I've just been knocking, and no doors are opening. So that's stressful. And of course, there's also the stress of living with my parents. And not because my parents themselves are super stressful, but just because of the fact of, like, I'm a 29-year-old man living with my parents.
Grown ass.
Man, living with my parents, exactly. And, so that's stressful. And so it's just like, I want to be out of this season, Tim. I want either, someone to say, hey, we'll hire you, or, we make sufficient money on thought rate, or something to break, so I can get out of this, damn season that I'm in, that I have been in for months.
Yeah. I feel like the thing that keeps us in certain seasons are our expectations.
Maybe.
Like, what are you expecting out of all this right now?
I don't know.
What did you expect you'd be at 29?
At 29, it depends on what season of my life you want to go back to. At 29, when I was 18, I would have expected to have been married and have children by now, and a house by this point. I feel like I would have succeeded to that degree. When I got into my 20s, I at least expected to be married by this point. Maybe have kids, and now recently that's obviously been shifted because it's not been the case. Which, speaking of which, there has been a girl that I've been interested in kind of pursuing as of recently. But to add to the stress of everything, I have we were having good conversations, and then suddenly I've not been hearing anything. So I'm like, that just added to the whole stress of things.
Where did this come from? Bumble or something?
No. Hinge.
Hinge. Gotcha.
Hinge, yeah.
Man, dating apps are weird. It's like, I mean, they're so safe for a lot of people, but at the same time, you can get ghosted because there's no, like, you can't touch the person. There's no, like, value right in front of you. They're just a a name on a screen.
Well, like specifically going into it this time, I asked God, would I have his permission to do so? And he said yes. And then the very next day, boom, this girl comes into my life.
Was she like, hey?
And we've had good conversations, and she has appreciated my deepness, which is nice. That says a lot, I think. But suddenly, as the past couple of days, I haven't heard anything since we were going to plan to meet up in person. And she said she was open to it, but now I haven't heard anything from her since a couple of days ago. So I'm like, okay, what's happened?
Yeah. She sent her a message, be like, girl, you dead?
No. I have actually thought about that to a degree, but no, I have not done that.
Oh, the places our minds go.
I know. They go very interesting places. Fair enough. But, so it's just like, it feels like everything in life is keeping me at arm's length. And to make matters absolutely worse, and because we're here for Debbie Downer Brown, I recognize that I've been causing that same kind of struggle in one of the people that I've been mentoring. And so it's just like, oh, great. This just... I almost didn't want to talk about this today because it was like, after going through all this and then seeing that I was causing that for another person, it was like, wow, it's amazing how when you are really frustrated or concerned about something that you could be the very source of that for someone else. Ooh, you gotta reel them in quick, Brandon. Yes, thank you, Seth. I was trying to do that, but I have no idea exactly what's happened. We'll find out. It's been a couple of days. Maybe she's just been busy. I don't know. There hasn't been any evidence that she's not interested in me. So where sometimes you can usually see, okay, this person is probably stringing me on. Not getting those vibes with this woman, Brownie Brownie. Oh gosh.
I'm just trying to pull up the chat.
I hear myself again. So, I don't know.
Real quick, Seth said, security and squeaking by at the cost of your sanity.
Yeah.
Making less but living better. It's a concept that you struggle with. Dude, I totally feel that. Like, I know a little bit of your story. And man, like, I respect the heck out of that. And even being in close proximity to you, watching what you've gone through, because, I mean, I'm pretty stable right now. You know, money's okay for us. We've got a house. We're both healthy. Our families are healthy. We both got direction. Me and my wife, that is. And Brandon's over here. You got 3 months till you move out of your apartment. 2 months, 1 month. Oh no, less and less money, less and less support. Oh, things are breaking. Things are not working. Ah!
Yeah.
And then it's like, I kind of want to reach out and help, but at the same time I feel, well, I don't know. It's kind of fun watching you go through it. Fun. I don't mean fun like I'm laughing at a situation.
It's all fun and games, Tim, until you're the one who goes through it yet again. If it does happen to you.
Yeah. A frowny brownie brown.
Yes.
Frowny brownie.
Frowny brownie.
That's what you're going to be from now on.
Frowny brownie.
Trademark. Thank you, Seth.
Just get ready, because eventually this season has to end. It will eventually, and I don't know how it's going to end. I don't know what direction it'll head in. There seems to be people that have spoken over my life that suggest that like things are just going to whoop all of a sudden switch. But in the meantime, I don't see when that whoop is going to happen.
Well, looking at it from the outside in, and we've been like this, we've had this perspective in so many situations in our life because we've helped people and we've gone through it too. When you're going through something or when somebody's going through something, it just seems like it's never going to end. You know? And then you look back and it's like, do you see all this crap I've been through, man? See all this crap that like I've come through? Just
these
like
light afflictions.
I mean, back when I was talking to Seth Moore, there was a relationship that I had just come out of, and and you were part of that too, you know? And as I was going through that, I just thought to myself, man, it's going to be like this forever. How am I going to get through this? And it's like you wake up and you just, man, what am I going to do today? Because there's no way out, But I think it's kind of interesting that all this stuff is happening with your friend also that you're helping. Yeah. And it's like a mirrored concept. You're dealing with the same issues that you're encouraging in that conversation.
I think that's the very big reason why God tells us to be cautious about what we judge or how we judge things, because oftentimes the things that we do end up judging are things that we are currently doing or capable of or something of that nature. So to be very humble is important. I I can't think of any scripture verse that says that judging is absolutely wrong, but there is at least cautiousness that if you're going to be judging, you will be judged in the same way, kind of thing.
Yeah, judge not lest you be judged.
Well, yeah. So, but that said, it's just like it feels like life and the success of life is keeping me at an arm's length distance. It's like relationships, nah. Jobs, no. Having a ministry that you want to do be successful that you can just focus. No.
You know what it is, Brandon? You're finally feeling all the repercussions of enjoying your white privilege all these years.
Wow.
It's finally come to head, Brandon.
Oh boy.
Welcome to the racial segregation. This is how I feel. I'm just kidding.
Oh my God.
I think something that Seth said is really interesting. We're the generation that feels shitty because our parents worked so much harder, or they just had a more stale sense of work. I think it's really expectations because.
Well, I wonder if our parents actually did have better opportunities than we presently do. I don't know that for sure, but it would seem.
Well, it's not opportunities. It's just the work ethic. Like, put your nose to the grindstone. Don't take any days off. Work your way up the ladder. Like, that made a lot of sense back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. But now, it's like everything's digital. Everything's online. And there's a lot more self-care out there that people are talking about. And the expectations are completely different. Like, if I went to people, I guess, like in the 80s, and I spoke to my grandfather, I was just talking to him about what my life looks like, and then what does it look like now? I don't work 40 hours a week. You know, I have clients that I work with. I have this that I do. Mm-hmm. And other times, like, the conversation that I have with Ariane about struggling through progress and all that stuff is like learning when to cut off work and when to turn on life, and when to turn off life and turn on relationship, and putting boundaries around stuff. And it's like, at least looking back on the 80s and how our parents viewed things, I don't think the boundaries were really healthy.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like they did really good job with working very hard, and they had very specific, if you do this, this is going to be the result of it. But now, in this current, like, time that we're in, I don't think things are as clear-cut as they were then. I don't know if that's just a change in generation, and we caused that, or what exactly happened, but, like, I don't know, just what my parents, because when my parents grew up, they had this, you know, if you get a degree and you do these things and you will be successful. And I feel like that kind of was the case between like the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. But now, like, I do a lot of research into things about the political scape of the United States and how we're doing morality-wise and stuff of that nature. Nowadays, I don't think colleges are worth, like, a lot of traditional colleges are worth the money you pay for them, because you're going to get a little bit of what you're studying and a lot of bit of, like, now granted, I think it depends on what it is. I don't think you're going to get so much of a bad degree in things like medical sciences or stuff of that nature. But although then again, if there's going to be like a big push for transgender stuff, then that might also taint that as well. That's another story. But in other types of degrees, there's a lot of push for like just other things that cause division and separation and just like the destruction of America and stuff, of just like, let's rewrite history or whatever. There's just a lot of crap that's going on that I've been finding through my research and stuff. And so it's like, I don't even think colleges are even as worth as what they used to be, at least traditional colleges.
Well, commitment looks a lot different these days. Like Seth just said, it seems normal to keep a job 3 to 5 years now, whereas in the past it was 10 to 15 years. And he said maybe even 1 to 2 years now. And it's like, looking at expectations, I think, looking at jobs, for instance, I remember growing up, I was taught, okay, you need to get an education, get a job, and stick it out for 40 years so you can retire. That was the plan. And throughout that 40 years, you'd meet your wife or husband or whatever, you'd buy a house, you'd establish yourself and set yourself up for retirement. And now, it's like, there's a lot of expectation out there in our generation to try things. You know, it's okay if you don't like it, try it and move on. And I think that's a healthy expectation. And I think, like, when the two different cultural or maybe age expectations like collide, that's where we get this rub. Because one thing that I've noticed in you is like, you're one of the people who follows Jesus the best of anybody I know, right? And there's so much fluidity there. Jesus is not just work a job for 40 years.
No.
And, you know, hey, that's what I said 40 years ago. That's what you need. No, he's in the moment.
Right.
You know, and his yes yesterday might not be his yes today, and engaging in that, once again, expectations. Like, what are you expecting out of it? Like with thought raid, with your job, with your relationships, what are you expecting? And I think it's weird because I see this duality in you. On one hand, you're like, God's going to take care of me. On the other hand, well, culture and my parents and other people have told me that these should be my expectations and that this is the way I was going to go. And it's like, you can't serve two masters.
I can't figure out where the boundaries was. Just say that, God's going to take care of me. I believe that, but at the same time, I feel like there's a responsibility that I have to make sure that ends meet. Like, I feel like I still, even to this day, don't know where my responsibility begins and ends and where God's begins and ends. Like, I don't know who's responsible for what. And granted, it has been a hot second since I've taken a walk and talked to God about these things, and that's part of the problem that I'm going through as well. And I know this, and the reason why I haven't taken a walk is because, unfortunately, in the neighborhood that I live, there was an emergency broadcast that went throughout that said a 20-year-old man was on the run, and they're trying to get that guy, and a white man, to be specific. And it turns out the person wasn't white, and he wasn't in his 20s. I think it was like a teenager maybe, and he wasn't even near the neighborhood. And so, like, because my neighborhood is much more protective than I'm living in where I previously was, I don't feel comfortable walking the streets at night when I normally would to talk and be with God. So I've just been like...
What's God told you about that? Did you ask him if you should be scared of it?
No, I don't think he ever asked me to be scared of anything.
No, did you ask him? It's like, God, I'm kind of scared about this. What do you think?
I don't know. I haven't thought to ask God anything about the situation. All I know is that I was planning on writing or filling out a bunch of different papers that said, hey, my name is Brandon. I'm your new neighbor. I walk at night because it's the best time I have to be with God. Don't be alarmed.
Well, real quick,
go.
Going back on what you said a second ago about learning where you end and God begins, if I look back in the Old Testament and all the people that God actually engaged with, Moses comes to mind. Moses, didn't have to reach beyond his what he had for obedience. God said, well, what do you have? And he's like, I have a stick. Like, what do you have? Because what I see right now is it's like you're trying to plan ahead for finances and things that you don't have. But God always wants to work with what you have currently. That's enough. It's not about stewarding what you don't have. It's stewarding what you do have, even if it's not a lot. That's why when about 2 months ago, Brandon was like, hey, I want to buy you something because he knows my love language is gifts. And I know what financial situation you've been in. And you said something under $100. And I was like, wow, that's pretty gracious, offering to buy me something for $100 when you're in financial distress. And that's you being obedient. That's you stewarding what you have, right? And that's where you end. Anything beyond that is God's.
But I feel like I have some sort of responsibility to make more finances to continue to be able to do what I'm doing, though. If I don't have, at this point with Thought Raid and support, I don't have enough money to be able to continue to just focus full-time on what I've been doing. And I'm at 700 at this moment left. Not talking about the money that I've been protecting that I was given for Japan. I'm keeping that protected for Japan. But besides that, I'm at 700. And, my parents cannot financially support me. They can give me a place to stay, but they cannot financially support me. So I've been in the process of looking for another job. I feel like that's a responsible thing to do. I feel like that's something I should do because, I feel like if God truly wanted me to be completely reliant on him and not do and not do another job or something, there should be more finances coming in to suggest that. At the very least, I would like that so that if I would be questioned, I could say, well, look at what God's doing here, here, and here. But I don't presently have that. I don't have a confident leg to stand on before those who would question me. So it's like the only way I know to gain that is to...
Well, that's the thing. Those that would question me. Because if it's all based on your expectations and not theirs, they can't follow God for you.
No, I know they can't do that. I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying, man. When you start making decisions and feeling a certain way based on what other people question of you and what their expectations are of you, then it's no longer you following God without an alternative or ulterior motive. Maybe that's not what I want to say. You know what God says, Brandon.
Well, I legitimately felt like he's given me the blessing to go and look for the work, though. I do feel like that.
Yeah, and it's within your capacity to do that. It's not within your capacity to steward certain amounts of money or whatever. Like, just work with what you got and have peace with that.
What exactly are you saying?
Well, the last clear thing that that God told us about thought rate, at least, was stream 3 times a week. Mm-hmm. And you got me, and I'm coming up with ideas. You're coming up with ideas. We're figuring it out. We've been at this for a year now, and we're further along now than we are back then. We've made progress.
Yep.
In your relationships, you've made progress. And figuring out your finances, you've made progress. Even though your expectations, you've gone backwards. Because you said, at 18, I wanted to be married with children and a house. And then in my 20s, I pared down my expectations and I just wanted to be married. And now it's like, I'm just trying to keep my head above water. It's like, what are your expectations? And if you have godly expectations, God says stream 3 times a week. And if you partner with them and he's like, yeah, you can get a job if you want. Okay, well, that's all you got to focus on.
Yeah.
Just keep moving forward, man.
Which I've been doing. And also, hello there. Hey there, Eden. Which I've been doing. It's just at this exact moment, ironically, Eden, I'm going through a similar thing that I've accidentally caused you to go through.
Yeah, before the stream started, we were going to name this Get Naked Monday, How Brandon is Being a Hypocrite.
So it's fitting that you're here right now. But anyways, which I've been doing. I have been doing. It's just at the moment it feels like everything is at arm's length with me.
Let me ask you this: what progress have you made in the past year?
Well, you mean you're talking about an actual 365 days, or from the beginning of this year to now?
A year from, like, 365 days.
So from this time of year to now, I have been. I made a lot of progress when it comes to, how scandalous. Anyways, I have made a lot of progress when it comes to trusting God and being in communion with Him on a regular basis, so much as, just, I don't know, feel more comfortable around them. I feel like I have richer, deeper conversations with Him. They're not just me sending up my prayers and trying to claim what I want my day to look like. Now it's just going to Jesus. That's gotten better over the past 365 days. And my level of how much stress I can handle has increased over the past 365 days. I don't think I would have been able to have handled this stress with any confidence, before this year. Or before last year, really. And so that's increased. And my understanding of just how God views me in relation to, the sins or things I've been through, whatever. There's just been a lot of areas of that have increased. Confidence has increased in general. But yet at the same time, since what I was going through in the middle and the end of last year, now going through this year, it feels like I'm regressing, to be honest.
Well, you remember, I think it was 6 months ago. Hey, ladybug.
I know.
There's a ladybug on my ceiling.
Yes. 6
months ago, there was this guy that came to the church and he spoke about mountains. And he was like, I think it's that stream that we did roughly the same time about security and safety. Mm-hmm. And about how when you get to the top of a mountain, to get to the top of the next mountain, you have to come off that mountain and go into a valley.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, when you do that, first of all, you're in a new area, and it's going to challenge you in new ways, right? And you have to leave the security of what you knew previous to that as being a success. Well, you were an assistant manager at the walking company. You were a valued member of a small group people looked up to. Mm-hmm. You were going strong in a relationship. your finances were being stewarded well. You were helping out the church. Like, you were on top of that mountain, And now it's like going over there, you had to come down, and it's like freaking Frodo and Samwise Gamgee.
Samwise.
They were on top of the mountain, and they saw where they had to go to Mount Doom or whatever it was called, and they had to go through the bogs, the marshes. Freaking Gollum had to lead them at one point.
Yeah.
And it's like they went through a lot of stuff where they were unsure, and they started questioning each other too. Like that part, and Brandon just recently saw Lord of the Rings.
I did with you, Eden.
Oh
I
my
did.
gosh. But you remember that part where they're climbing that rock face, and then Gollum takes the lembas bread and throws it off the side and blames it on Sam?
Yep.
And how they were like, "You piece of crap."
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we've been going through that recently. But just looking at what progress you've made, man. You said consistency and authenticity with God, how much stress you can handle, confidence, how God views me. You've also learned how to run a YouTube channel and create content. You've learned how to steward your time in a way where you are in control of your schedule and not a place of business, which is important if you're going to be self-employed for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You've learned confidence in God versus your parents or other authority figures. And you've also learned confidence in following God instead of what culture says is right or wrong. Because it's like, if you were following culture, man, oh, well, I need to stay on unemployment, and I need to get a degree in this other field and get a job, and I need security. And no, man, that's not what God told you to do.
What is it I was saying over here?
Let's see. Seth said, Japanese proverb: a wise man will climb Mount Fuji, a fool will climb it twice. Some things are worth the experience. It doesn't mean you need to experience it twice.
Interesting.
Ancient Chinese proverb.
Ancient Japanese proverb.
Japanese. By the way, here's I don't know. I'm just thinking about this. There's something cool named Bokksu. Bokksu. It's one of those monthly subscription things that you can get. I think it's like $40 a month. And they send you all these like cool foods from Japan. I think it's like 29 of them. First of all, that sounds fun, so I'd recommend that you guys try it. But if you think that would be awesome for us to do and you'd love to see us trying weird things from Japan, let us know. We'll do it.
Tim and I do plan to go to Japan in the near future. I've been saving the money that people have blessed me with in 2020. In 2020 to go, and we were going to, of course, go to Japan like right then and there. I think it was like May, June.
Well, it's right when everything shut down from COVID.
Yeah, and of course COVID said novid, and that did not happen. So, but we're still very much so intending to go to Japan, and I know at some point God's going to have me go to Japan to stay for a while. I don't know how long. I don't know if it'll be years or what, but that is something we would intend to do eventually. Which we should talk about that at some point, like our plans with Japan.
We got to get vaccinated.
Well, maybe so. Maybe so. Brandon is going out of town. I don't know when, Seth, but at some point we will go to Japan, and we will make sure to take videos and pictures and stuff to share with you guys.
Well, here's the whole progress thing. Title of the stream was what again? Something.
It was
Brandon talks about his struggles with progress or whatever.
Yeah.
Like in 2020, we did this whole fundraising thing, and there were 4 of us going. 2 of us did fundraising, me and Brandon. And we needed X amount of dollars for room and board because it's going to be a ministry trip. Yep. I mean, it's going to be partly for fun because we've never been to Japan. But Brandon, all of his stuff was covered in one fell swoop.
That's never happened in my life, ever.
And not just that, but all my stuff was covered too. I had so many people that invested and like paid for my plane ticket, room and board and whatnot.
I expected you to have that happen just because of who you are and how you operate and how God operates through you, but I did not expect that on my part, to be honest. I really didn't.
Well, remember, God put this on your heart, and I'm just an accomplice. Well, talking about going to Japan, but the whole reason I'm bringing that up is it's like, okay, we had this clear plan of what we want to do. Not only that, but God gave us all the finances. God working through people specifically gave us all the finances. We picked out a plane or airfare, and we scheduled that. And was it Delta?
I think so.
Good, because I forgot. Our money's saved in Delta since they refunded our ticket.
Yes.
And everything fell through. And it's like, I just think it's so interesting that when God tells you to do something, and then through the world standards or through circumstances, not consequences, circumstances, whatever, stuff falls apart. It's like God always finds some way to redeem it. And it's like, I really feel like God has you in a place where he's asking you to learn to roll with the punches and not worry so much about the circumstances.
I'm trying. I'm honestly trying, Tim. It's just the reason why I haven't completely relaxed is because my default, what I want to do, Tim, is just to not care at all. Not deal with any of it and just let things fall into my lap. But, like, oftentimes I have to go out and do things.
Well, there's a difference between caring and dealing with. Like, I don't want to deal with it. You just don't even do your side. But caring about it, saying, I'm going to do my part, but I'm also going to expect God to do his part.
And that's been the struggle I've been, is never knowing exactly what is his part, what is not his part. Mm-hmm. It's almost like trusting in God works out.
Cough, cough.
I guess so.
Maybe I should replace you with Seth. It's like, he's got a really good perspective.
Seth, do you want to work with us on Thought Raid? Because apparently there's a new position open.
Welcome to Thought Raid, where we find, whatever.
Thought Raid with Seth and Tim.
Seth, we should make our own show. That would be so legit, man. You can move back up here to North Carolina. Let's go.
But yeah, I don't know how. Tim,
Brandon, shut up. You know how. You've done this before. You've been through this.
I don't know how. I know you say that. I don't know how.
Well, man, like, okay, so whenever you're struggling to follow God, just look at all the times in the past where you've gone through those valleys and, okay, well, how did I do that? Right? Because you've been in stuff like this before where expectation of the world is here, God's expectation is here, and you're trying to figure out exactly where your MO is going to come from and like what your part in it is. And you've done that in relationships, you've done that with money, you've done that with jobs, you've done that with church groups, you've done that with friendships. You've done it already, Brandon. And you're losing sight. And I'm speaking to everybody because we all go through stuff like this where we continue to question ourselves. And it's like, I know this. I'm just looking at the circumstances way too hard, and I'm trying to do it in my strength instead of God's strength. It's like, if you really believe, Brandon, that God is who you think he is, then let him be who he is. Just let him be, man. Well, you know this.
The struggle that I go through is I don't know exactly, like, where... I'm a broken record. Welcome to my brain. I don't know where my responsibility ends and God's begins, and I keep worrying that I'm not doing all that I can do, but at the same time, I'm also absolutely exhausted. Emotionally. Even now, like before we began, I felt like taking a nap because I was just exhausted. Just feeling like, oh, this beautiful stick figure you're making here.
So let me see how this would look. Welcome to Thought Raid with Tim and Seth.
Wow.
I kind of like that, actually.
Wow. Ooh. But where
cut out.
Where I begin and where God begins and stuff, like, I don't know. Like, every time I think I know, and then I end up having something question that, and I'm no longer sure again,
But here's the thing, Brandon. You do know. The only reason you think you don't know right now is because you're considering all these other expectations that are not his expectations.
I don't even know what they would be. What expectations?
Well, like earlier you said, what was it that you said? You said something like, I'm trying to do this, and then these other people, I don't want to do this, or this because of what other people would think about it.
Well, yeah, specifically I was thinking about, like, I didn't want to continue to trust God when it came to not looking for a job or applying for unemployment, because the minute someone questions me about that, it's like, I don't know, I don't feel like I have a leg to stand on, to be honest, because it's just like, yeah, I don't have anything to show for this faith, like, at the moment.
You not?
I don't have, like, oh, this person decided to pay for this bill or something of that nature to say, see?
You've got several $1,000s sitting in a bank account somebody gave you because God said go.
Yeah, but I'm not going to touch that. Money is specifically for Japan.
I know. I'm just saying, Look at that. That's confidence just sitting in your bank account.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though. We started trying to raise money for Japan, and within like a month and a half, boom, everything we needed fell into place. Here we are. We're getting very I'm at $700 some odd right now, and no money has come. The most that's happened, and I'm very grateful for every last bit of it. We've made up to $100 per month with thoughtraid, and people have been traditionally helping me when it comes to lunches and dinners, which is great, but that doesn't necessarily take care of my school bill, or my own personal groceries, which are the two main things my parents want me to pay for while I'm living with them. And so that's just the thing. It's just like, and if there's any expectation that my parents have specifically put on me, it's that, like, to not let it go down to a specific point without finding another job. And, like, with me living with them, I don't feel like I can resist that. Like, if I was still on my own, it doesn't matter what they think.
Well, so... Scripture says that you're supposed to honor your mother and your father.
Which I'm trying to balance.
When we got engaged, Ariane and I, when we got engaged, her parents expressed they wished that they wanted us to wait 3 years. And we got engaged after, I think, a year and a couple months, or maybe a year, I'm not quite sure. And so I was just thinking, okay, well, we felt like God wanted us to get married right then and there. We really thought that. But her parents were like, we really feel apprehensive about this. We want you to wait 3 years. Not just be careful, because even great relationships, according to them, you don't really find out who somebody is until about 3 years. And so we prayed about it, and it's like we had peace about getting married, but I still wanted to respect and honor her parents, because they were going to be my parents too. So we waited a few more months, and in those few more months, that's where God really worked on their heart, and they were okay with it when we were like, hey, we're actually going to go ahead and get married. But it's just one of those things where it's like, you don't have to live up to their expectations, but you just have to consider their expectations and let them feel heard. And you can still follow God while doing that.
Yeah, which I've been trying to do. And so this whole looking for another job is practically just a concession for the meantime. But yet, now that I've been trying to do that, I've just been closed door after closed door. I'm like, I can't win. I literally cannot win anywhere. Screw me.
Yeah, but that's the thing, you can win. And you are winning because you're trying. So many people are in your position out there where it'd be like, you know what? I just give up. You know what? If it's God's will, it's God's will. He's going to do all this stuff for him. But you're taking action, trying to you're doing your part. And I think if you do your part, all this other crap you can just cast off and throw in the trash. And just get it out of here, because it doesn't belong.
Well, I'm at a place right now where the best I can do is just take one step at a time. Because it's like, that's all I have energy left for right now. Like, I'm doing it, Tim. I'm doing it the best I can. And I want to continue to build thoughtraid into something that is helpful for people and pays attention to what they're saying and stuff. And we've had a lot of good suggestions come in, and that's overwhelming for me at the moment. But I want to do it. And so just between that, but then trying to split my focus with trying to find other work and everything, I'm just exhausted. And sometimes I just felt like giving up. Just because it's just, I'm so tired. And I'm at the end of myself. And, you're on the outside of this, but I'm presently on the inside of it. And I only see what I see. And it's hard. And I'm not giving up, but I feel like it, but I have to fight against that feeling, because I know feelings are a lie.
I remember 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were talking about all this, and you said that thoughtraid is your dream. And very few people chase their dreams because there's no cost. There's a huge cost associated with it. And it's like, my brother-in-law, Graham, bought a Mazda... I forget which kind of car it is. It's the Coupe, one of the new Mazdas. It's a really cool looking car. He paid cash for it, right? I'm sure it must have been like, I don't know, $13,000, $20,000, something like that. And saving up that money, he had to say no to a lot of things. And when he purchased that car, I'm sure taking that big chunk out of his bank account was like, oh, because he could have done so much more stuff with that. Like, imagine all the takeout he could have ordered with that. You know, imagine all the video games he could have purchased with that. But it's like, when something is worth the cost, all the growing pains to get there, it's like marriage has been one of the simultaneously most rewarding but also most difficult things in my life, because it's worth it, you know. And the fact that you're going through so much opposition and you're partnered with God and God's giving you the green light to go in this direction, that the whole, like two or three streams ago when we talked about making joy a priority, you know, it's like you have to create a space where you acknowledge that and you say, this is what I'm going to stay focused on this because this is what's true, not the feelings.
Yeah. We have a person here, new guy, I don't recognize you. WYE. Here's the struggle Michael Jackson had. Once Michael Jackson said to a kid sitting on his lap, oh God. I think I fell into a trap right there.
There's a great singer inside you. Wow.
Yeah, that's, I felt like I fell, you got me.
Got him.
You got me.
What did Eden say?
And he says, you've helped me come to a healthy mindset and gave me a group that can complement those lessons and make me work well in a group rather than against it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And God's part to me is to give opportunity. I've been had. You've had me. I should have read that before I read it out loud. Anyways. Now I'm thrown off. I'll regather.
Yeah, well, I just think, Brandon, and for you guys too, if you're working through something and you're having frustrations and stuff, and you're like, I keep missing the mark, it's like, just don't take your eye off the prize. And especially if God's in the mix, you got to keep looking for the stuff that is going right and that you are doing right, and just say, oh, okay, well, this is what I'm going to focus on, because man, it's so easy to get focused on the things you're not doing right. Just like what I keep thinking about what Dan said all those streams ago. And our friend Dan Smith told me, you can't both create and criticize at the same time. Because when you're stuck criticizing, the create button goes off. It's like when one goes on, the other goes off. You can't do them simultaneously. So if you're stuck in criticizing mode, you can't make any progress. But if you're stuck in progress mode, there's always going to be somebody else that's going to criticize to try and get you to flip that switch. And it's like, God will show you if you make a wrong turn. And he'll keep shutting doors if he doesn't want you to go that direction. Doors will open when you're going the right direction.
Well, maybe God was giving me a concession to look for work to keep my parents off my back. While still maintaining the whole thing of not working, not doing unemployment, and just relying on him, because I'm still, with what little is required of me financially, I'm still okay, even with $700, but like, I don't think I have much more than maybe a month or two left if nothing changes. Mm-hmm. And that's scary. It is frankly scary, and I am very tired of this season, and I want to be in another season. I want to be on the other side of the mountain now, Tim. Mm-hmm. And I'm making it one step at a time to this destination of whatever it may be. And part of me is like, is the mountain that I'm walking towards even the mountain I think it is?
That's a big question for all of us, man. Gosh.
Because at this point, I don't know where I am on the mountain, but at this point, it really don't look like it. I feel like I've gotten up on the wrong mountain or something, and it's just like, well, you thought this, but actually, here's this.
It's kind of like when you're playing a video game and you're doing a quest, and then you got to go to this far off place, and then you get there and it's like, crap, I forgot to get the item I need to trade in.
Gotta go
and then
all
you
the
gotta
way
go
back.
all the way back, get the item, and
that was my experience yesterday. Actually, this morning, technically. We were playing Sea of Thieves, and we were doing the third Tall Tale. We were trying to rescue Captain Jack Sparrow from the afterlife, essentially, the pirate afterlife. Mm-hmm. We parked our ship at the beginning of this bayou, and then we walked the rest of it to go to our destination without taking our ship. And then we took a rowboat through the rest of it. So it was like 3 sections we went through on a rowboat, which we're not supposed to do, but we didn't know that. So then by the time we finally got to Jack Sparrow and he decided to join our crew, we had to go all the way back to our ship and go back all the way through all the things we did before because it would not allow us to leave that place without our ship.
Get wrecked.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just like, wow. I mean, and granted, the coming back trip was faster than the first time, but nonetheless, it was just like, I wish I'd known. I didn't know.
Yep, there's a life lesson.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks for hanging out. This, is it Friday we're doing the D&D stream?
Yes, we are. So you're going to want to be there. Join us this Friday as we talk about how Dungeons & Dragons has changed my life, and not only my life, but the life of some of the people that were playing with me in the games that we've hosted and everything. I especially challenge you that if you think that Dungeons & Dragons is a terrible game, to join us, because I have some things that may change your mind about it, so that way you can be humbled and know that Jesus can work through anything. So I encourage you to be there for that. But we're going to be talking about how that game has changed my life. You don't want to miss it because there's going to be some fun stories to be told, and you're going to love every last bit of it, I promise. So be there for it. We'd love to have you.
Plus, I'll be there. You can look at me.
You can look at Tim while I'm talking. Look at his beautiful face.
Anyways, guys, thanks for hanging out. If you haven't done so already, like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell for when we go live.
And tell us in the comments what you liked about today's stream, because all of that helps us when it comes to Thought Raid being noticed by YouTube.
Yep, and you get to watch us stare at the screen awkwardly because we forgot to hit the outro button.
Yes. So...
Never gonna live that way. Never gonna live that way again.
It's still not doing it.
It'll get there. Bye!
Yeah, I can see far away from where I've been. He says I see a potential. I see a potential in my eyes. I see a potential. I never lost sight of the